about every 10 years, or every 5 to 10 years, you have a change in vision. So the first probably 11 or 12 years of Christ Church of the Valley was just your typical, church, Sunday school, whatever. Then the pastor had this idea or whatever that he's going to try to reach men. So that was a big philosophy change. So the music changed, the look changed, everything changed. Then probably the next major change after that was the whole neighborhood philosophy. So what we did is we looked out from the church, kind of a radius, and we split up, depending on how many members were in different areas, we sectioned off different areas. So like Peoria, Glendale, or like maybe a neighborhood, like this is Sierra Norte or whatever. They would all be their own neighborhood. Each neighborhood would have a neighborhood leader, which I was the neighborhood leader when we started Peoria. And that's a layperson, unless we have somebody on staff. Unless we can't find someone and we get somebody on staff. And then they will all have a win, train, and ascend representative. So, and then they'll all have win, train, and ascend events. So, a win event would be like, we had a pancake breakfast at a elementary school, and we would turn it into a send event, and a send event would be us doing something for the community. So we had all kinds of people come, and we don't make this a CCV event. This is just a community event.
Okay, so it's not like to promote the trademark of CCV.
No.
In fact, if you want to call it that,
we're discouraged to turn it into a CCV thing. They encourage everyone to make it a neighborhood thing, to just try to build relationships in the community.
So, wow. So you don't have big posters of church name and stuff to make sure that everybody knows you're behind it.
No.
But I mean, if someone asks, you'll tell them.
Absolutely.
But you won't, so you don't hit the big drums. You have a pancake breakfast.
We have a pancake breakfast. We had 70 or 80 people show up, which is great. And then we all went and painted the lines on the ball courts and stuff, because they were all getting faded.
Okay. It's a little similar to Dream Center in LA, like a little spin-off off of that.
Right.
Okay.
Similar in philosophy to that.
Yeah.
But very neighborhood segmented. So normally cell groups and small groups. You would have single small groups. You would have, hey, I'm your friend. Even though I live 20 miles from you, I'm going to be in your cell group. We I don't want to say like dictate who's going to be in what group, but we really try to kind of control who's being in what group, so that we have a mixture of people, and we try to make it so that you're in a group of people that are on your street, or at least in your community. So all the people that are in my group that I meet with once a week, none of them live more than 2 miles from me. So when we have somebody in the neighborhood that comes to the church and says, my husband lost his job or whatever, instead of the church putting together a meal bag for him and sending him on their way, they find out where they live, they call the group that's closest to where they live, and all those people minister.
Okay, so you build relationships between people, and not between
within
the church
the neighborhood.
Okay.
That's a nice thing.
But so after this, we have this pancake thing, we paint, we do something for the community. How do you, what's the next step to getting them into?
You're trying to invite them to your group or whatever.
Okay, so do you have a home group that meets and have like a Bible study or prayer meeting or something?
Exactly.
Okay.
Same as a cell group or a small group or whatever.
Yeah, okay, so but you don't, the first step is not to invite them to church, it's to invite them to your home. And then from there you go on to maybe getting them to come to the church.
Exactly.
Or so you focus on the neighborhood groups.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that, like my kids' friends, they almost all of them have attended some CCV event for youth or whatever. They don't go to church here. Like there's something that appeals to
So that kind of shows how you have reached out and just kind of saturated the community. It's like you can't get away from CCV.
Yeah, and
I mean,
a lot of
in
people
a good way.
Some other churches that are pretty upset about
There's a lot of word of mouth and kids inviting my kids to events, and
Sometimes people don't even know that it's in the CCV event that they're going to. And that's okay, because it's all about building. So they're in the neighborhood group, and they're like, you know, a lot of neighborhood groups will do baptisms in their pool at their house.
Okay.
We would rather people do a baptism in their pool at their house than do the baptism here. And then the neighborhood group they'll all do the baptism.
Yeah. But the foundation groups, that's where they learn the basics of the Christian faith.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whatever they don't get, because we don't give the salvation, we try to make sure that the salvation message is in every service. But it might not be in the sermon. It might be in a song. Like if we do, you know, He came from heaven to earth to show the way. You know, we'll sing that song. That's the salvation message. So we don't necessarily have to have it in the sermon every time.
But you have it in some way.
Some way we try to always make sure the salvation message is in.
Sneak it in there.
Right. And then when they go to starting point class, then they learn about, they learn all the, you know, scriptures and everything, and they have an opportunity then to make a decision for Christ. Or become, you know, and become a member, or just make a decision for Christ and not become a member, because being a member here has nothing to do with, you know, going to heaven. I don't think so. Probably does.
Yeah. Maybe the 144,000 first members.
Right. Yeah, special spot. And everyone else is going to have to stay here for the whole tribulation.
So we need to hurry. You still have a card, you have some time.
And then the foundations class is going deeper. So that's 2 classes, and then it's kind of like trying to find your spiritual gifts, that type of thing, and like what area maybe you should be serving in, how God's wired you, that kind of thing. Have you heard of, I think it's Gary Thomas that wrote Spiritual Pathways? That there's like, some people have more of an intellectual pathway to God, some people have a worship pathway. Okay, so there's probably a lot of the same thing. So like trying to discover those types of things for yourself, you know.
Do you know a percentage of people who show up at CCV and have never taken a part in anything, like neighborhood group?
Yeah, it's a pretty high percentage.
Yeah, and you know, the assumption would be that for some people coming to a mega church, they can kind of stay invisible.
Yes.
And they're kind of not comfortable with having relationships.
And those are the people on the stadium. Seriously.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, and mostly...
Oh, stadium. Yeah, when you said stadium, I was thinking platforms. Like, stadium, in the back.
In the back.
Yeah, okay, preacher.
What was I just going to say?
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's part of the thing is the whole baby boomer deal. So when, about 10 years ago, the baby boomers were, you know, 35 and 40, where now they're 45 and 50. But, the baby boomer generation does not want to participate, okay? So that's part of the reason why we set up a lot of the things the way we set them up 10 years ago. Now, the X generation is much more wanting to be involved and wanting to participate.
That's interesting.
So we're having to change a lot of the way that we do things. So we have, like when we did the whole shoes deal, we did a thing where we have a mission in Africa. I mean, we have missions everywhere. Every church has missions all over the place. One of ours is in Africa. And we had a thing where we donated shoes. So what we did is during the service, we told everybody, okay, take off your shoes, the ones you have on right now, and drop them here. And then we had people walking out in their socks. And, you know, it's really interesting because if you knew that was going to happen, which shoes would you pick to wear? And it really wasn't about shoes. It was about
giving.
You have to be ready to give whatever you have when God asks you to. You know, so today it's shoes. Tomorrow we don't know what it is, but we need to listen to God to find out what it is.
So all of a sudden the members would come in sweaters and
they were going to get flip-flops for the next few months.
Free flip-flops, so you get a pedicure.
But that type of thing, or 2 weeks ago we had people write down their New Year's resolution, like, you know, a spiritual resolution, and take that up to the front and you know, just those types of things.
Well, Pure Heart does that, and then they mail it to you a year later.
Oh, really?